For these three rational equations, we're going to be finding the vertical and horizontal asymptotes. For the first equation, what we want to do is make sure that the numerator and denominator are factored, and the numerator and denominator of this first example are factored completely. So this is the simplified form for the numerator and denominator. So for the vertical asymptote, we're going to set the denominator equal to 0. So 3x minus 1 is equal to 0. So we're going to add 1 to both sides, and we get 3x is equal to 1. And the last step is to divide both sides by 3. So the vertical asymptote is at x equals 1/3. For the horizontal asymptote, we're going to compare the numerator and denominator's exponent, and we notice that the numerator's exponent is larger than the denominator's, and therefore there is no horizontal asymptote. For the next equation, we're going to make sure that the numerator and denominator are factored. So the numerator can't be factored further, so it's just x plus 1. But the denominator we could factor as difference of squares. So we open up double parentheses, we alternate the signs, one's a plus, one's a minus. X squared splits as x times x, and 1 splits as 1 times 1. So in order to convert this to simplified form, we're going to check to see if the numerator and denominator have a common factor, and they do. So we could cross out the x plus 1's because you could divide those and that would just equal 1. So 1 is left in the numerator and x minus 1 is left in the denominator. So to find the vertical asymptote, we set the denominator equal to 0. So if we set x minus 1 is equal to 0 and we add 1 to both sides, our vertical asymptote is at x equals 1. For the horizontal asymptote, we're going to check out the exponents. So the numerator's exponent is 1 and the denominator is 2. Because the denominator is larger than the numerator, the horizontal asymptote will be at y equals 0. For the last example, we're going to convert to factored form. The numerator is already factored for us. However, the denominator can be factored using trinomials. So you're saying what multiplies a negative 10 and adds to 3, and that would be 5 and negative 2. So from there, we're going to check to see if there's a factor in the numerator and denominator that are exactly the same, and there's no shared factors in the numerator and denominator. So this is completely simplified. Next, we're going to find the vertical asymptotes. So we're going to set each of these factors in the denominator equal to 0. So set x plus 5 is equal to 0. And if you subtract 5 from both sides, you get x is equal to negative 5. So that's one vertical asymptote. And the second one, we're going to set x minus 2 equal to 0. So if you add 2 to both sides, the second vertical asymptote is x equals 2. Lastly, we're going to look at the exponents. So if I expand the numerator, this would be 3x squared. So taking a look at this exponent in comparison to this exponent, because they are identical, we're going to look at the coefficients in the front. So the coefficient is a 3 and then a 1. And so we take 3 and divide that by 1. So our horizontal asymptote is at y equals 3.